Hello and welcome back to Mr. Mulher Music and my series on film music. In this session we're looking at the 1970s and some big, epic film scores. So what do I want you to be able to do today? Well, I want you to be able to spot some changes to film music in the 70s. Can you tell me what's going on? And I want you to be able to compare 3 different film themes from the same composer. So something a bit different. Let's start with those changes. So some composers were pushing through with new ideas, merging new and old and fusion like we've talked about before. But some went solid back to that golden age. A big orchestra playing traditional film music. But then there was the completely opposite side. New popular music film scores, using popular music in films. Films like Grease and Saturday Night Fever, moving away from that tradition, moving away from the orchestra, using popular music. There was also some big names. Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas. Huge films, huge names, some that you'll know today. And also world cinema. Lots of martial arts films started appearing during this time due to the success of Bruce Lee with traditional Chinese martial arts. And cinema from India was becoming popular, known as Bollywood, a play on words from the film industry in Bombay and Hollywood. So lots of different things are happening. Huge films from George Lucas, including Star Wars, and Steven Spielberg's coming out with great films. And there's one person who was composing all the way through the 1970s. So let's have a look at him. His name is John Williams, and he is an American composer, conductor, pianist and trombonist. He's from New York. He was born on the 8th of February 1932. Most would say that he is the greatest film composer of all time. John Williams has composed some of the most popular, some of the most recognisable, and some of the most award-winning film scores in the history of film music. He's won so many awards, we're not going to look at them all, but we'll look at some of them. And we will scroll through them, a few films at a time. In 2005, the American Film Institute selected Williams' score to Star Wars as the greatest film score of all time. Although a 20th century composer composing for film music, John Williams was really inspired by older composers, similar to that of the kind of Romantic era of Richard Wagner and Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky. And he uses this idea of a leitmotif, or a motif. It's a short musical idea that represents a character, a place, or an emotion. Really important for film music, those 3 things. A character, a place, or an emotion. That's what he focuses on. And you can hear that quite a lot, especially in Star Wars. Every time Darth Vader appears, you hear that same piece of music. Now, John Williams started composing during the 1950s and continued through the 60s to perfect his skill. And by the 70s he started to compose for some of the best known films of all time. Let's have a look at some of the films he's composed for or was involved with the music for. So the 1970s. I'm just going to pick a few of these films. Let's start with Jaws, directed by Steven Spielberg. Awards that he won for this: Best Original Score of the Academy Awards, Best Film Music for the BAFTA Awards, Best Original Score of the Golden Globe Awards, Best Album of Original Music written for a Motion Picture, Grammy Awards. Then there's the first Star Wars film, which he won Best Original Score at the Academy Awards, Best Film Music at the BAFTAs, Best Instrumental Composition for the Star Wars theme at the Grammy Awards, Best Pop Instrumental Performance at the Grammy Awards, Best Album of Original Music written for a Motion Picture at the Grammy Awards, and he was nominated for Grammy Album of the Year. Didn't quite make it. One more film we'll look at from that time, Superman. He won Grammy Award for Best Instrumental Composition for the main theme, Grammy Award for Best Album of Original Score, written for a motion picture. Was nominated for Best Score at the Academy Awards, Best Score at the Golden Globes, and Best Pop Instrumentation for the theme at the Grammy Awards as well. So many awards and so many nominations. I haven't even mentioned all the nominations. But John Williams, this is where we're going to move out of the 70s for a minute. John Williams kept composing music. Let's move into the 80s. Some of his scores are going to appear films, but let's look at 1980, The Empire Strikes Back. BAFTA Award for Best Film, Grammy Award for Best Instrumental Composition for The Empire Strikes Back soundtrack, Grammy Award for Best Album of Original Music for a Film. 1981, a year later, Raiders of the Lost Ark, his fifth film with Steven Spielberg, Grammy Award for Best Original Score, nominated for others. 1982, E.T. We've got Best Original Score at the Academy Awards, Best Original Score at the BAFTAs, Best Original Score at Golden Globes, Grammy Award for Best Instrumental Composition, Grammy Award for the Best Album of Original Music, and Grammy Award for the Best Arrangement of an Instrumental Recording. That was a lot to say for the flying thing. But he didn't finish in the 1980s, no, 1990s. Still, look at these films here. Home Alone in 1990. He took over as the composer. And 1993, Jurassic Park, which led on to Jurassic World. 2000s and 2010s, still more films. The Harry Potter films, he composed for the first three of those, getting more nominations for awards. And the thing about John Williams is he's composed so many bits of music for films like Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones. Every time another film is made, either from the main films or like a smaller film branching off from it, he'll still get credited because they'll still use bits of his music. What a composer. So your task is to compare three of his pieces from the 1970s. I've picked Jaws, because it's scary, Star Wars, because it's just so cool, and Superman, because it is an epic composition. So, what do I want you to compare? Well, let's start with the tempo. The tempo's different for each piece, but watch out, Jaws changes a lot. Make sure you note that down. Watch out for that. But Star Wars and Superman have lots of different themes that go through. Some are fast, some are slow, so you're going to have to spot those changes as well. Dynamics? Well, the dynamics for Jaws vary a lot as well. Star Wars and Superman change quite slowly. So, is there a reason for this? Then I'm going to ask you one specific question for each piece. For Jaws, how does John Williams make the music sound scary? Think about the opening. Think about the notes. Then for Star Wars, what percussion instruments can you hear in this piece? So that's things that are hit, shaked, or scraped. And Superman, can you find a way that the piece of music is made really epic? Give you a clue. There's an opening fanfare played on brass. There's also lots of percussion. There's lots of other things, but what can you spot? Then, do any of these three pieces sound similar? They were all written by the same person, so is there any of them that sound similar? And finally, do you like the three pieces? Yes, no, and why? Well, that's loads for you to be getting on with. If you're watching this in the film music playlist, the three videos are going to follow on. Worksheet you can download from the description box below. 3 epic film scores. Enjoy.